first up, let's talk Jaguars. I mean, you saw them in New York. The Jets, we'll just leave them aside. But the way the Jaguars are playing right now, and, the young kids may not, they're a dangerous team. As you mentioned, experience doesn't mean much. But when kids don't know what they don't know or shouldn't know and play like they're playing, they could be how dangerous do you think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going into these playoffs, having just seen them? I
think for me, it's that they have some really dangerous skill guys, and obviously Trevor's, somewhere there after that Denver game, in London. I think he just all of a sudden, he flipped the switch, and
it's a long flight home after those picks.
Well, I thought it was cool to see, and I thought it was a great correlation we made even in that game to him and Zach Wilson. Is that you saw him say after that game, I never want my team to ever experience feeling like this again, and I don't ever want to be the reason again. And since that moment, it's like something's just clicked for him, from a standpoint of just owning it, and I'm going to be the guy. And this is the reality of playing the quarterback position.
Yes.
And he has played exceptional. And so I think they're really dangerous. And I think that, young and really, hey, you know what? We got nothing to lose, and we're hot, and we have momentum. I think it's a dangerous combination in the playoffs because I think – the experience sometimes lets you realize how big it is, but when you don't have any of it and you're like, hey, we got momentum, we got Doug Peterson who's cool as can be, he's chill, that's his demeanor as a coach.
Right.
I think they just feel confident. They're like, you know what, we're going to shoot our shot and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, they got the Chargers, and they curb stomped the Chargers earlier this year.
They did, and the Chargers have been so up and down. I mean, you don't get any consistency of who do you think you're really going to get week to week with them. And so I think that, really honestly, you look at their team, I think that it's going to be one of those things if Jacksonville can run it well, which the Chargers have seemed to give up a lot of yards on the ground all season long and not really found a way to stop that. They have the weapons and the quarterback that they can expose you in the passing game. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see, is the Chargers going to be the team we see that efficiently on offense is moving it? But if they're not moving it well, this Jacksonville team looks like they can put up points. But we went to injuries and health, and my biggest concern for Jacksonville is offensive line. Cam Robinson is a huge factor for them. He's one of their best players up front. Missing him is a factor. And, I know Sheriff's been banged up a little recently. So, how healthy are they up front, and will it matter?
Well, we'll see if the Chargers are healthy. That's been much of the conversation over the last 48 hours is who went off in a game that, Brandon Staley kept the starters in for a considerable amount of time, if not way too long. I guess we'll find out about Bosa. And
been
Mike
plenty
Williams.
Said about that, and so I think it's interesting. Bosa, obviously, anytime you're playing with groin stuff, I mean, that's a whole other monster, especially for a guy like that. The way he moves, the power he plays with. So, they're gonna need him to be effective because when you're only playing with one good rusher, teams are going to isolate him and say, hey, we're going to slide to him, we're going to chip him, they're going to try to take Mack out of the game. Adding him is what really takes them to the next level defensively to be able to be better than they've been this season.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.